Every answer online is somewhere between $500 and $50,000. And that's not an answer. So I added mine up, every single receipt, and I'm going to give you an answer. I started making and selling jewelry 14 years ago in 2012. There are numbers at the end of this video. There will be the bare minimum, what I would actually do, and what my setup actually costs. This is more than what it needs to be, and I'll show you why. The first cost is going to be under $250. And I think that this is going to be a great starting point for someone that just wants to start their jewelry business. Nobody would tell me any of this when I first started my business. I worked it out the expensive way, so here it is. Let's start with the part that everybody skips because that's the part that surprises everyone the most, and that's an LLC. Everyone tells you to get one, but nobody tells you how much it costs, and that depends entirely on where you live. For example, if you live in Montana, it will cost you $35, but if you live in somewhere like Massachusetts, it can cost you $500. But half of the states are going to be $100 or less, but of course, me living in Texas, it's going to be expensive. 26 out of 51 states are going to be $100 or less. And in Texas, it's going to cost $300. Your EIN, that's something you're going to need. That's your business tax ID, and that's actually going to be free. You can get it straight from the IRS website, and it will take you about 10 minutes to complete. Some companies are going to try and charge you money for it, but please don't pay them because you can get it for free. There's also a registered agent. Every LLC has to have one, and that's whoever legally receives documents for your business. You're allowed to be your own for free, but here's the thing that nobody mentions. If you're your own registered agent, then your address is going to be on public record. I didn't want my public address out there, so I have a separate address where anything business related will get sent to. Then there are two free things that almost nobody talks about. One of them is a sales tax permit, and you need that to sell. And in a lot of states, it's free. In Texas, it's free. And a resale certificate, which is a separate document, and that one is also free. That means you stop paying taxes on your supplies. Every chain, every charm, every clasp that you purchase, you're not paying tax on it anymore. If you're working from home, a business license will cost $25 to $100 to renew every single year. And that one's usually your city, your county, or sometimes your state. So you have to do your research and look that up. Liability insurance will cost $300 to $700 a year. Most people will end up paying around $400 for that. It's cheaper than candles or skincare, so definitely get the product liability part. And one more thing sits with it is to open a separate bank account. It is really good to have a separate bank account from your personal and your business. Now moving on to where you sell your products, which is exciting. There's a platform called Big Cartel, and it's free up to 5 products. Square Online has a free plan too if you're launching with a small collection. And I just want to be precise about what free actually entails. So it only entails small collections of products for Big Cartel and for Square Online. So Big Cartel, you can launch 5 products, and then with the one for Square Online, you could have a small collection of products, and that will be free to start with. So that's good for someone just looking to start their business. So a free plan on both of those websites. For Big Cartel or Square, you're going to have their domain with your domain. So for example, if I was doing Inlira, it would be inlira.bigcartel.com, or it would be inlira.square.site. That would be the domain name. If you want your own domain name, that is going to be a paid feature on both of those websites. Big Cartel would be $15 a month to get your own domain on there. So I had to do a little bit of digging and research because they don't just put that information out there very clearly. You have to kind of dig and find that pricing for the domains. So I just want to make sure that I have all of these numbers right. So I'm sorry for looking down. But for Big Cartel, like I said, we have $15 a month with your domain if you want to put your own domain. For Square, I wouldn't really recommend Square because that is going to be running at $49 a month with a custom domain, so that's going to make it expensive. And then for just your shop name on GoDaddy, that would be $4.99 for the first year. So my honest thing of what I would do, and this is what I've done before in the past, is I've gone on GoDaddy, I bought my own domain when I was ready to purchase my domain, and then you can just sell on the free plan. So you could sell on the free plan for Big Cartel. That's what I would recommend doing. And then when you're ready to upgrade, you can upgrade once you have money coming in. You don't have to rush it right now. At least you have the domain name purchased, and then you can continue on the cheaper plan with Big Cartel. And you also need to watch for the transaction fees on the platforms, because even though they say that it's free, you're still going to be charged the transaction fees. So again, I'm going to be looking down here because I have to read you guys these numbers. But Square's free plan is going to charge 3.3% per online order. Shopify will charge you 2.9%. And then Big Cartel is going to take nothing, but you have to pay Stripe's 2.9% in fees. So there's still going to be transaction fees even though you might be on a free plan. So it might sound small, but it's not. So once you're doing about $10,000 in sales, Square's free plan would actually cost you more money than Shopify's plan would have cost you all along. Shopify is actually one platform that I used before I built my own website. And Shopify is going to be $39 a month. There's no free plan, but they have a trial for 3 days, and then $1 a month for 3 months. And then after that, it's going to go on to full price. So $29 a month if you pay annually. But I think it's a great platform, and it's not just free. Nobody says it out loud. They try and kind of sometimes make it seem a little bit cheaper than what it is. But those are the ones that I would recommend. Now, as for the domains, GoDaddy will sell you a domain for $4.99, but you need to watch for the renewal fees, because at the end of the year, after 365 days, when it comes time for the renewal, they're actually going to increase the price a lot. The renewal fee after a year is going to be $22.99. So that's actually going to be more than 4 times the price. So definitely look at the renewal fee and not the sticker price. You might be looking at it and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cheap. I'm going to use this to buy the domain. But they will charge you a lot more money when it comes time to renewing it. There's a website called Namecheap, and that will renew it about $15. And that actually ends up working out to be cheaper. And I only found out about that website recently because I had always used GoDaddy for everything. So they give you privacy free for life, and Cloudflare sells at cost. And that will be about $10.50, and they never raise it. So you're pretty much getting the same domain, half the price forever. Now, business email is another thing, and that's something that no one normally budgets for. You don't want an email that's like at Gmail or at AOL.com. You definitely want to have your own business email. Now, that will be about $6 or $7 a month per email that you have for your business. And that could be up to $84 a year. And that is actually going to be more than double the domain. So everything that I've talked about so far is how to save money, but this is one thing that I wouldn't go cheaper on. So if you're launching with 5 to 8 pieces and one of the chains that you sell tarnishes, it's not going to be good. The customer that you sold it to probably isn't going to come back. So here's a list of what I actually buy and what it actually costs. So these are the materials, and these are what I would actually purchase. Now, like I said, everything is going to be available down in the description, so you can click on those links and you can see what I would recommend to purchase if you're just starting your jewelry business. So for the jump rings, I would highly recommend stainless steel, whether you're doing silver stainless steel or the 18 karat gold plated stainless steel. And 7mm jump rings by 1mm, those are my favorite jump rings to use. Now for just doing stainless steel, we have 200 jump rings for $6. And I would recommend buying the 200 pack and not the 100 pack, because you might think maybe I don't need that many jump rings, but you'll always use jump rings. You always need more jump rings. I'm always ordering them. Always wishing that I would have ordered more. And one necklace is going to take 7 of them. So that's if you're doing a 5 charm necklace. Now, if you have a necklace with a charm in the middle, you have 2 charms here on the side, 2 charms here on the side. That's 5 jump rings. And then you're going to have 1 on the end for the closure for the lobster clasp, and then 1 on the end for the closure where you close the lobster clasp into. So that will be 7 jump rings for a 5 charm necklace. Now, this kind of surprised me where I was adding up all of these costs, because if you're just buying silver, enough for 10 necklaces, that would be $87.79. And then if you're going to be buying only gold, that would be $103.87. So gold would be actually 18% more, which is $16 on 10 necklaces. That's almost all the cost goes into the chain. The chain is actually going to be the most expensive. And then if you buy both and you do 20 necklaces, gold and silver, that's going to come to $165.82. This will actually work out cheaper per necklace than buying one metal. It will be $8.29 versus $8.78 because two of my suppliers ship for free over $35, and buying more will get you over that line. So always buying more is going to give you more of a discount. It's going to be cheaper. When you buy the chains, usually like the chains will come in meters. So when the more meters of the chain that you buy, the cheaper it gets. Sometimes it's not always the case, maybe for the charms or the jump rings, but a lot of the times if you order enough from that person, they'll give you discounts. You can always ask them for discounts, or they might be having special codes in their shop. But I've noticed that one thing anyway with the chains is that the more meters that you buy, the cheaper it gets per meter. So for $65 of parts, it would be $22 for shipping. So jump rings that are $6, it's going to cost $3.50 for the shipping. So definitely batch your orders and don't be ordering the supplies as you go. That's why sometimes it's better to have extra supplies. So say, you know, you're only maybe trying to make 10 necklaces, buy extra charms, buy extra jump rings, buy some extra chains. It's better to have more supplies so that you don't have to go and reorder them again and then pay for shipping again. And then one last thing about the supplies is the suppliers that I'm recommending to you. These are people that I've ordered from before. They have really good quality chains. They have really good quality charms and jump rings, everything that I have recommended to you. The chain seller that I recommended, they have a 5.0 rating across 52,000 reviews. I'm sure probably it's more than at the time I wrote that down. And then for the charms, they have a 4.9 across 131,000 reviews. Definitely more at the time. That's the whole reason why I'm recommending to you my own suppliers and people that I've ordered from before, because they have great reviews and you can go and you can check them out for yourself and take a look at their reviews. Okay, for the packaging, I came up with 3 different kinds of packaging for you guys as well. So we have the cheapest packaging, which would be a poly bag. Now a poly bag, I'm looking around for one here. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, this is a poly bag. And then this is going to be a bubble mailer. Now this isn't even an order that I got from someone else. This is how it was shipped. And that there is going to be 3 cents for the poly bag. And then the bubble mailers that I recommended to you guys are 20 cents a piece. So it would be a total of 23 cents to package your order. And I think it's a great way to start. That's how I started with my orders. I started with bubble mailers and I started with poly bags. Now, the ones that I recommended to you in the links below, you can also go to their shops and you can get them in different colors. You can get them in different patterns. So they're a lot of fun to use and they protect your items because they have bubbles inside of them. So really, it's all you need, guys. Now, the middle packaging, which is a little bit more expensive, that I recommended to you, that one would be a poly bag, like that bag that I showed you there. You're gonna have to get one that's a little bit larger because I recommended a craft gift box, which is, I don't have one here I think that I can show you, but I used to use these as well when I started spending a little bit more money on the packaging. And that one is going to be 53 cents for the gift box. Tissue paper you can use as well, which will be 2.5 cents, and you put that into a mailer. So all 3 of those items will cost you 79 cents. So if you want to upgrade your packaging a little bit, instead of spending the 23 cents, you could spend the 79 cents on the packaging. Okay, then we're going to switch over to my packaging. So this is expensive. My boxes are custom. I got these on Alibaba, had them custom printed with my logo on them, and they have the magnetic closure here on the front of it. So the reason why these were so expensive is because you have to have a minimum order amount for the number that you are purchasing. So these ones here, they are a custom jewelry printed box. They have my logo. There's a sponge insert, and these cost nearly $2 a piece. And that doesn't even include the shipping. Now, I chose the cheapest shipping that was possible, but it came over on a boat. Wouldn't recommend that because just takes a very long time and there could be problems when they come over on a boat. And then the shipping box that these go into that will fit only one of these, that one's going to be 92 cents. And then for $1.23 is the larger shipping boxes, which I call the Inlera pizza boxes. And that one could fit 4 of these inside of there. So if I could do things a little bit differently, I probably would have maybe gone with someone else for the shipping boxes, but that's a different story for another day. But I love these. I love my jewelry boxes. I would have loved to get like a box for the bracelets, which would be, you know, like wider and longer. But like I said, you have to do minimums for these custom boxes. So I went with these ones because I felt like I can also still fit the bracelets inside of here as well. So not including the shipping for the boxes or any of the cards that I have that go into here or the tissue paper, this comes out to $2.37. Now I'm just including this box and I'm including the smaller shipping boxes, not the larger shipping boxes. So I have $2.37 a parcel, and that's more than 10 times the cheap version of the other shipping that I'm recommending to you. So honestly, I didn't upgrade my shipping until recently. Most of the time I was going with the bubble mailers. I used bubble mailers for the longest time ever. Then I upgraded to a craft mailer for the shipping boxes, and then it wasn't until oh gosh, I don't even remember when I had Lucky Cosmo Designs boxes. That was my old name for my business. But they weren't like kind of as extravagant as these boxes are. And then I upgraded to these in all of the packaging recently. So I've been doing my business for a long time and I didn't upgrade into all of this stuff until recently. So like I said, with the minimums, I had to order 1,000 of the jewelry boxes and 1,000 of the shipping boxes. So I paid $3,000 up front without shipping costs included. And it came by sea, which is the slowest method that you can choose for the shipping. So like I said, definitely not a startup cost. That's definitely something that you should invest in later on in your business. And as for the printed pieces too, I put 2 things inside of here. I have a care card, and then there's a card here that I write. It's like a blank on the back here, and you can put a handwritten note with a QR code. But you don't need 2 pieces of marketing material inside of your packaging. Honestly, you could just put 1 piece inside of there. You could put a business card. I really just recommend at least putting 1 piece of marketing material inside of your orders. And when you're pricing your products, the price that you see on the website is not always going to be what you pay. Because for example, my business cards, they were $46.99, but then you have to include shipping and tax. So that came to $64.33. That's 37% on top of that. Then the postcards, which are the larger cards, not the care cards, those were $52 and they came out to $75 with shipping and tax. And I think that was for, I don't remember how many pieces. I have to look back to see how many I ordered. But like I said, when you're ordering more pieces, you will get a bit of a better discount. And I got those on Vistaprint. So I do like Vistaprint. I order mostly, I don't think I've ordered from anywhere else. I've ordered from there for my marketing materials, and they have great sales going on a lot of the time. So if you go on there now, 250 plain business cards will be $20 on the site. And then $28 by the time it gets to your doorstep. So 40% on top, not 37%. And that's still the cheapest way to do it, is just their plain business cards that they have. It's about 11 cents a card against the 26 cents that I paid for my cards. I think because it's like a square card, it's a fancy shape, it's more money, I don't know. So same job and less than half the money. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is getting your orders out the door, which includes what you use to ship your items. One of the most expensive things that I bought for my business was a thermal printer. I used to use the Dymo printer, but I just had so many issues with it. It was always jamming on me. The labels were expensive, so I invested in a Rollo printer. Now that's what I use, but of course you don't have to use it. I don't recommend it for someone who's just starting out. I've also used the Jaden's printer before, and that one was a lot cheaper. And you can also buy off-brand labels. You don't have to buy ones that come with the Rollo printer. Another option is also to use your regular printer. So if you have a regular inkjet printer at home, just print out the labels, cut them out with a scissor, and tape them down. I did that in the very beginning of my business, and there were no issues with it. So the Jaden's printer is currently $70. I have that link below too, so you guys can see which one I am recommending to you. 4.5 stars across 9,000 reviews. I also have the labels linked to it. The labels for that machine are going to be 2 cents each, so it's super cheap. So they are the 9527 fan fold rolls, also linked below too. $9.99 for 500. So they're really cheap per label and they get really good ratings. So if you are just starting out and you don't have a printer already at home, I would definitely highly recommend the Jaden's printer and the labels that I have linked below. You will also need a scale. Scale is good for weighing your orders. You don't want to get charged any overage fees from the post office. So the scale that I use is $26, and I would definitely call that a non-negotiable. You don't want to guess how much your items weigh. You can use Pirate Ship to print out your labels. So the software is free for Pirate Ship, and there's no monthly fee, there's no markup, there's no per label charge, and you get commercial USPS and UPS rates instead of the ones that you would pay at the counter. So you'll definitely save lots of money. I even checked on the website, and this is all current information from Pirate Ship. Now the next part is about taking your photos and about getting your product seen. So this honestly is going to be very easy. You don't really need much to take your photos. If you have a phone, then you're ready to start taking your pictures. And also for the lighting, you can just use natural lighting. You can use any lighting that you have in your house next to any windows. Now, if you don't have great lighting, I mean, I'm in front of a ring light right now. My house doesn't have the best lighting. You can either go outside or you can invest in like a small little light if you want to get a light. So I would recommend the New Year panel light to start off with, and that one is $45 and they get really good reviews. I use so many products by New Year and I definitely highly recommend them. That's another product that I'm going to have linked below for you guys. And there's also one by UB Size. I use them all the time too for my photography, for all of my social media. And that one right now is currently $28 and it comes with 2 lights. So you get 2 lights and it will beat the shadow instead of just using 1 light. When it comes to promoting your products, you don't need any money to promote your products. You could start for free. Just start posting on social media. You could post on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, every single platform that you could think of. Start posting your products. And I honestly think that is the best way to get seen. So what does it actually cost? We have 3 numbers. So we have the bare minimum, everything that you actually need to sell your pieces and start making a profit. So you're going to have a free storefront, your domain, which is bought and parked. You'll have the silver materials for 10 necklaces. You're going to have a full set of tools. You'll have packaging, a scale, and you're also going to have business cards and printing labels on the printer that you already own. That one is going to bring you to $223.81. So for under $250, that's the real number. It's nowhere near $500 or any other numbers like $50,000 that other people are saying that you need to start a jewelry business. Now, if you want to add Shopify, which I highly recommend using Shopify, and you want to do both metals, that one's going to be 20 necklaces. You'll have gold, the 18 karat gold plated. You'll have the silver, the stainless steel. You're going to have proper boxes with tissue paper, and you can have a thermal paper and some better lighting if you want to improve your lighting. That will bring you to $549.79. So Shopify in a business email, that one will be $45 a month, every month. So tier 2's first real year will bring you to $1,044.79. I don't think that's too bad. The amount of money that I spend, I have my gear, my materials, my tools, my packaging, the Rollo printer, the ring light, all of the Vistaprint packaging. That part is going to be $1,038. But that doesn't include my custom packaging. So those were $2,965 on their own. And I'm keeping that out of the number because I don't think that any beginner should be purchasing them. So I don't run Shopify. I have my own custom website, which I'm running, and that doesn't cost $39 a month. The hosting is $100, database $37, email software $35, order emails $20. My business email is $7, tax prep $500 a year. My registered agent is $120 and the domain is $14. So that's $200 a year. So that pretty much brings me to $3,028 a year just to keep the lights on. I'll give a second just to let it sink in a little bit. So my first year isn't $1,000, it's $4,066. So my website costs $1,800 a year more to run than Shopify. And I definitely have my reasons why I have my own website. I have a custom charm builder. There's just a lot of features that I don't think that will be possible by running my website on Shopify. So the numbers are the easy part, but what you charge for what you make with it, that's the next one.